You! Us! I never expected to see you again after I kicked your ass back to your universe.
Yes, funny story there. Shall I tell you of my scars?
Was your father a drinker and a fiend? Ha!
When you forced me out of this universe, something went wrong. There were strange dimensional energy waves occurring at the same time. I believe you're familiar with the source of them. The King of Worms.
Ah, yeah, he was controlling robots from his realm.
The energy waves sent me off course, and I landed in a much harsher reality than this one. Ancient evils had begun tearing the place apart. My kind of place, really. And there I found a traumatized little girl, too saddened by the loss of her parents to do much else but weep. I took care of her, protected her from the monsters, and I gave her a new name. Behold, my Aaron-yes, my instrument of vengeance!
So your story is less ha-ha funny.
You know what is ha-ha funny? Your pain! Ah. We spent the next several years augmenting and repairing one of the planet's spaceships. Using my damaged dimensional transporter, I was able to follow the signal back to this universe. And what interesting things were happening here. Your ship and another engaged in battle over Europa. You and Mecha-Kara fighting on the surface. Your ship was still too damaged to detect us, so when you left, we went down to salvage what we could, and found a very human, very confused Mecha-Kara on the surface. No memory of what he was. We placed him in cardboard freeze until we could find a way to utilize him. And we watched and waited. Aaron-yes studied mythology and legends in her spare time, starting her own internet series about it. I even helped her build Ceres so she could have her own robot buddy. Hopefully one less treacherous than my own. Eventually, learning the truth of your magic coin, I sent her to retrieve it from you. Ah, but then we learned how the coin was reacting to you. I suspected it was not merely that you were a magic user that the coin was having issue with.
Yeah, having an outer god in your head's a hell of a drug.
And oh, how beautiful it was to watch you turn on your friends, to see you endure failure, to see your paranoia grow, to see you become the monster.
I'm not like you.
Everyone is like me, given the right reasoning, the right opportunity, the right nudge, and everyone would do things that they normally oppose. Hypocrisy is the way of the human race.
Do we really have to do this?
Are you questioning me?
I just don't think—
Don't think! Obey! Or do I need to send you back where I found you?
No, sir. I'm sorry, sir.
And the answer is yes! We have to do this! I have to repay him 100-fold for what I have endured. To see him separated from his loved ones. To see him in a constant state of agony.
Geez, no wonder you dug up Mecha-Kara. You're starting to sound exactly like him.
Ah! There's never enough pain before you shut up, you annoying little troglodyte.
Oh, trust me. I'm in enough pain just looking at that stupid painted-on beard. Why do you even still have that?
I'm in pain seeing you needing other people to prop you up. Oh, that touched a nerve, didn't it? Yes, that whole affair was really not fun for you, was it? Delightful to behold, really. Why do you even still have those? Because remembering your pain makes you stronger. Remembering your hate and betrayal makes you more powerful. You're exactly like me.
Look, if you're gonna kill me...
All in due time. Suffering is much sweeter.
Oh, I'm suffering, trust me.
After I do kill you, I'll take your place here. Comicron 1 and all of its weapons will be mine. None shall dare oppose me.
We'll see.
No, I will. You will be a corpse that I have taxidermied and hung up in my throne room. It'll be an excellent conversation piece at parties.
Well, as long as I get to be in high society, I guess. I take it you're the one who stole the clone that Dr. Linksano made?
Indeed, his lab is in the same place as my Dr. Insano's. The clone was still alive, but in suspended animation. That's where I got the idea for this whole thing. I was hoping that Mechakara would do some more damage to you than he did. Just can't find good help these days.
He could have killed me. I never realized how bad he was. But you knew, didn't you?
Oh, don't pretend like you were in any real danger. I could have pulled you out at any time.
He held a knife to my throat!
And he didn't hurt you, so it doesn't matter!
And where's the clone now?
Dead! How do you think I learned how far I could take the agonizer? Vengeance is sweet! But I am magnanimous in victory. We both understand how important it is to hear the sound of our own voice, to be a little snarky, a little critical. So I will allow you to choose your final review, Linkara. Choose well.
Well, it's still Halloween, so let's raise some hell.
Welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Linkara's gonna teach you all a lesson you won't learn. Brodsky, you're not the smartest. Life out, you're not an artist. Anyone who's had a bad comic published, it could be your turn. Linkara, he's a man punch, wears a birdie hat. Linkara, he has a magic gun. Where'd he purchase that? Linkara, coins, robots, Amazons and trucks. Linkara, this comic sucks. Linkara.
Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. As you can see, I'm kinda tied up with current events post-10th anniversary episode, but hey, it's October, which means we should talk some more about a horror series that I like. As has been established, I like to talk about a particular franchise for 3 years in a row. The 10th anniversary kind of got in the way of that, but I feel we can slip in a one-shot to start off the next franchise I'll be discussing for another couple years. Hellraiser. If you want some backstory on the series overall, I provided it last year when I covered the Hellraiser Dark Holiday Special. However, that one was based on the series from Epic Comics and had its own comic-only characters inhabiting it. This, however, this is an adaptation of one of the movies. One of the bad ones. Although most Hellraiser fans would probably say, well, that's not surprising considering only the first two are good. They're not entirely wrong. It all depends on what you're expecting walking into the movies, in my opinion. The first two are masterpieces, and the rest, decidedly not so, but most are pretty enjoyable, in my opinion. The operative word there, mind you, is most. Some of them are still absolutely garbage, specifically Hellworld and Revelations. Just utter trash for a number of reasons that we don't have time to get into. The one we're talking about today is also trash, but less trash, admittedly. Hellraiser 3 is not good. It has some good elements, some good lines, but there's a noticeable step down in quality right off the bat, and a lot of it can be aimed at the series' villain, Pinhead. Pinhead was not supposed to be the face of the franchise. It's just that he grew insanely popular after the first movie. As I said in the holiday special review, he's another villain who talks. But there's a regal quality to him, a restrained presence that makes everything he says have weight behind it. Hellraiser 3, unfortunately, has him talking way too much, laughing maniacally, and just generally being silly for no good reason. It has a weird tonal problem where it's trying way too hard to go over the top when the first two movies had this kind of uncomfortable darkness to them as they dealt with desire, torment, and pain. But we'll explore more of that as we talk about the story. Let's dig into the comic adaptation of Hellraiser 3: Hell on Earth. Quick recap of the story so far. After Kirsty Cotton's encounters with the Cenobites in the first movie, she went to a mental hospital run by Dr. Chenard. Chenard, obsessed with the lament configuration and gaining access to Hell, resurrected Kirsty's stepmother Julia, the two entering Hell with Kirsty going along for the ride too. Chenard got transformed into a Cenobite and seemingly killed Pinhead and his entourage. After he was defeated, the bloody mattress used to resurrect Julia had a person get sucked into it, and I guess that resulted in a terrible process shot of a demonic torture pillar spinning out of it. And most of that has nothing to do with the movie. Really, only the pillar is relevant, and only just barely, as you'll soon see. The cover is pretty good, actually, depicting a decent sequence from the movie where Pinhead murders a whole bunch of people in a club, with hooks and chains coming out as people run screaming in terror. It's an effective cover and draws the eye with more implied horror than with anything so directly gory, like how Avatar comics would have operated. Still, gotta love Pinhead's pose and expression on here. Hey guys, check out my Frankenstein impression! The official adaptation of the hit horror sequel. There are less official adaptations, but they're of the version that was not a hit. We open on a shot of the pillar from the last movie. Sort of. See, this is kind of what I mean about the relevancy of the pillar. At the end of the second movie, it's this hideous abomination full of flesh and writhing body parts and hellish glows. And here it's just kind of a statue. Not sure what happened in between movies for the thing to petrify, but man, Hell's craftsmanship has really gone downhill if it gets stale that quickly. Night is falling in a forgotten part of the city. Nobody has business here. Then again, it is zoned for residential. A man enters a storefront labeled Pyramid. I should have known! Of course the demonic aspects of the Cenobites would be associated with the most evil force that threatens us all! Ancient Egypt! The man spots the pillar amongst a group of other statues and paintings, a scruffier-looking fellow walking up to him. You want it? Is it yours? Not mine. Yours. You actually bought it like 3 months ago. When the hell are you gonna pick it up? He does indeed buy it. Will this do it? Exactly the amount I had in mind. $500 in Monopoly money. That was just a prologue, and we begin Act 1 at a hospital, where we meet Joey Summerskill, played in the movie by Star Trek Deep Space Nine actress Terry Farrell. She's a reporter doing a story, I guess, at said hospital. Most nights, an inner-city ER would be a chaos of blood and panic and grace under pressure. Most nights that would be the case? What the hell is going on with this city? It sounds like they don't even need Pinhead! But tonight, it's like death took a holiday. It's a mystery to me. Well, not to me. Have you met the guy who's taken over the hospital?
You two are, without a doubt, the worst co-chief residents of all time.
A mystery how those assholes at news assignments knew it. What was the story assignment exactly? Yeah, most nights the ER is a dark nightmare of bleeding and dying people. Go down there and talk about it in front of their screaming faces. But yeah, apparently there is no story going on, and she tells her cameraman, Doc, to just cut the camera. He tries to put a positive spin on it, but then gets summoned away to cover a hostage situation. Joey stays behind to sulk, but he probably should have stuck around, since a patient arrives at the ER, one with chains covering his body. Well, wrapped around his body and the gurney he's lying on. What the hell? The doctors are trying to remove the chains and prep him for surgery as the woman who is with him is left behind in the lobby with Joey. Joey tries to talk to her, but all she can get out of her is that whatever happened with the guy, it happened outside a club called the Boiler Room. Oh hey, Freddy Krueger finally retired and started up his own nightclub. But yeah, before she can learn anything more, Joey spots the body. which is practically floating up in the air as the chains embedded in him start electrifying and he dies. I don't think his insurance is gonna cover that. The next morning, one of Joey's producers is being a sexist asshat, suggesting that she'd actually get more airtime and good assignments if she showed more skin in her interviews. It may be a surprise to you, Brad, but I want to do it the right way. Tight stories, not tight skirts. Open-ended questions, not open blouses. Right, like last night's doozy. I know what I saw. TV. No pictures, no story. And it would be impossible for any of the doctors or nurses to corroborate the story. I mean, what do you think you are, reporters? Joey insists there's a story and will investigate it on her own time. She heads to her only lead, the Boiler Room Club. The coolest place this side of heaven. The hottest place this side of hell. The lukewarm, moderately temperate place this side of purgatory. Joey meets the owner of the club and purchaser of the Pinhead Pillar, J.P. Monroe. She asks about the girl from the hospital and he just hits on her. And all I can think of is, wow, he actually looks slightly less douchey than he does in the movie. I mean, I do instinctively hate him, but only because the artwork on him, bizarrely enough, reminds me of Paul Gulacy's from Sci-Spy. I think it's all in the puffy lips the artist gave him. As it happens, the comic also improves upon a bizarre aesthetic from the movie. The club is of course a loud, grungy place full of rock and roll and dark lights and all, but JP also apparently owns a restaurant attached to the club, which is quiet, romantic, and sophisticated with a small group of violinists playing classical music. I get the impression that the movie was trying to present JP as this smarmy jackass who thinks he's sophisticated and rich, even though he's clearly a bro with too much money, but it just comes across as weird that these two different places are linked like this. For one thing, the soundproofing must be amazing for the restaurant to not hear any of the hard rock music playing. In the comic, it's just depicted as him being in the club. In any case, JP just throws out her card when she asks her to find the girl, but said girl then picks up the card. That night, Joey dreams of walking through a battlefield in Vietnam, until she's woken up by her phone ringing. Yeah, this is Joanne Summerskill. Joey, who is this? He, left me a card? At the club? You told me to call you whenever you were dreaming of Vietnam? The woman, Terry, says that she'll talk to Joey if she can crash at her place, which seems like a bit much, but hey, she wants the story. Since she mentioned having a bad dream on the phone, Terry inquires about it. It's my father. He died before I was born. Before I was conceived, even. Mom said it had something to do with time travel. She explains that she dreams of searching for him on battlefields. Terry says that she's curious about dreams because she's never had any before. Oh great, of course Freddy Krueger opens up a club right when we find someone immune to him. They talk for a little bit, have some character-building conversations, but then get around to the main topic at hand, the guy who died at the hospital. She didn't really know him, but he came out of the club clutching something that he took from the pillar. She held onto it after he— oh geez, dear lord, what happened to the lament configuration? Not even just that it looks pretty banged up, but it's huge! It's like the size of her head! Also, her hairstyle suddenly changed between panels. The lament configuration is friggin' warping reality! Anyway, the guy apparently said that the chains came out of the box, which is why it makes sense that you held onto it. The next day at the boiler room, JP notices a hole in the statue where the box had been located and reaches into it. A rat apparently decided to call it home and bites into his hand. It draws blood, and instead of being over the top like it was in the movie, with him swinging his arm around with whooshing sounds added, he just pulls his hand away and blood splatters onto Pinhead's head and blood getting sucked into the statue. This makes JP turn into a Junji Ito drawing. As we enter Act 2, we have some more banter between Joey and Terry, where she reveals that she was the one who found the statue pillar for JP and can even bring Joey out to the place where they found it. The sign says it's been closed for a month, but of course they were only there last week. Breaking in, they go through some paperwork that they find, of course recognizing that for an art gallery, it's a scam. They buy the pieces for pennies and then resell them. One of the places they bought it from, though, was the Chennard Institute, even finding diagrams of the box. Well, at least they kept the receipt. Their hellish torture puzzle device is a tax write-off. At the club, JP hits on a blonde woman. You're JP Monroe, right? And this is your club? Great club. I really love it here. Great club. Thanks. A rose. Wow, that's really nice. Gotta give the adaptation this. They really did capture the terrible acting in the movie. After managing to acquire interview tapes from the Channard Institute, Joey invites Terry to stay with her as long as she likes. Back at the boiler room, or rather a loft above the boiler room, JP has finished having sex with the blonde woman. Upstairs at the boiler room, the private lair of a very special predator. Pinhead versus the Predator didn't end up being what everyone thought it would. JP wants the woman to get out now that he's done sleeping with her, but chains come out of the statue and grab hold of her. Jesus Christ! Not quite. Quite frankly, Jesus looks way better as a statue. Although, to be honest, the artwork in the comic is much improved at depicting Pinhead's face coming out of the statue than it is in the movie, which just looked absolutely silly every time I saw it. Like, there's no way around it. It looks like a dude sticking his face through a hole in some foam. The first Hellraiser had a budget of $1 million, and this one was estimated to be around $3 to $5 million, yet the effects in that one are 1,000 times better. Yes, even the visible trolley for the engineer looks better than this. In the movie, there's also this very bad visual effect where after her skin gets pulled off, she gets sucked into the pillar. Here, the body is just skinned off panel and left on the ground. Naturally, JP's a little shocked by this. What did you see? The same as I. Appetite sated. Oh dude, you only wanted the skin? You're leaving all the tasty meat behind! Desire indulged. A miniature of the world and how it will succumb to us. With your brains and my beauty. You enjoyed the girl, and so did I. And that's all. No, it's not the same. That was evil. Also, I'm talking to a statue, and that's kind of weird too, but that was evil, bro! How uncomfortable that word must feel on your lips. Personally, the word moist is pretty uncomfortable for me. There is no good, Monroe, there is no evil, there is only the flesh, and the patterns to which we submit. As for me, I submit to plaid. JP pulls out a gun. I'm touched. That is the gun you used to kill your parents. I understand. Their fortune was so tempting, their affection so conditional. What, did they only love him if he cleaned his room? He shoots the statue, and unfortunately, they keep the stupid bit of Pinhead spitting out the bullets. It looks just as goofy here. Like what, did he aim them all at his mouth? Or did the statue absorb the bullets and move them into his mouth to expel? Finished? Good. Shall we talk sensibly? For starters, can you move me over to the window? I really miss having a view. Pinhead explains that together, the two can raise some mayhem and gain power and glory. It even includes some dialogue that didn't make it into the film that references the second movie, while also explaining a little bit of what's up with him. I am a dark star rising. Bound to another system by a soul I once possessed, my god was diamond and black light, and I his dark pope. You don't even want to know what we used for communion wafers. JP agrees, and we get this good shot of him and Pinhead as if they were two halves of the same being. I actually like it. Later, Joey gets a tape from the Channard Institute, courtesy of Doc, who also mentions that she's put in for a news anchor gig in Monterey. Reviewing the tape, Joey sees footage of Kirsty, a cameo from her actress, explaining about the Cenobites in the box. Nothing much to comment on here. It's a cool thing to be in the movie, and is a nice connection to the previous films, especially in light of having a new protagonist. That being said, the comic actually adds a bit more to her dialogue. And a continuity error. She mentions that she saw dozens of puzzle boxes in Channard's office. 1, no, she saw 3 of them, not dozens. 2, she saw them in his house, not his office. And 3, I got the impression that this was from her time at the Institute before she went to his house, since as soon as she gets there, the movie doesn't have her go back to being a patient. Movie was over, she and Tiffany left for greener pastures. Did she get put back into the Institute afterwards? Back at her apartment, Terry gets a phone call from JP. She wonders how we got the number. Your little girlfriend left cards all over the club, remember? Yes, but how did you know the two were staying together? We get the impression that JP was abusive to her and he's trying to get her to come back, but she refuses. However, there's a voicemail that soon comes in from the station in Monterey informing Joey that she got the job. In the movie, it's Doc calling to let her know and joking about getting her apartment. Either way, the result is Terry decides to go back to JP. But either way also confuses me. Joey was applying for a job before she met Terry, and the impression I get from both was they both knew she'd only be staying there temporarily, so why wouldn't Terry talk to Joey first before deciding to run off like this? Hell, even if she had to leave sooner than expected, she's not gonna leave right away, and that gives you a few more days with a roof over your head. That night, after another nightmare, Joey spots something else. A bald man speaking to her through her TV. "You have to help me, Joey." Man, the ghosts from Poltergeist have really changed their MO.